Well, the space is pretty much granted by the rubric in Islam where there is no intermediary between any person and God, and therefore each person has equal access to God, and God has equal connection or relation to every person. Of course, that mandate has been denied because patriarchy has controlled not only the orthodoxy of religion, but also customs and culture, and women have, thus been relegated to a secondary role. And then that role is encapsulated with theological taboos, as if to go outside of the patriarchal role is going outside of the religion. And that point is very strong in my advocacy to make sure that patriarchy remains a human institution and not a divine institution. So that's the joy actually of my work, being able to constantly bring it back to God, bring it back to the theological framework, and not to relinquish the religion to patriarchal interpretation and implementation. The movement, I think, has three major perspectives, and these are my definitions, but they're pretty much being confirmed in other ways. One I would call Muslim secular feminism, and secular feminism is seeking to keep religion out of the debates and instead going by, say, United Nations human rights instruments. Another movement is the Islamist movement, and the Islamist movement is very strong on gender issues. However, it confirms Islam pretty much only in the way in which it has been patriarchally ascribed. And there is a contestation between these two voices. They both agree it's either Islam or human rights. And the most dynamic is what I'm calling Islamic feminism, and that is one where there is no either or. We are demanding both Islam and human rights. A lot of agreement between this third, voice and international human rights instruments, but it is not on the basis of those instruments. And there is also this very strong confirmation of Islam as a way of life, but it is not in the patriarchal interpretation of Islam. So we take full agency in how these ideas are understood, how human rights is understood, and how Islam is understood. And again, I find it a very exciting time because there is such a collective movement. And although we are not all in agreement, I think we are all witnessing the affirmation of the mandate for women's participation and the inclusion of women's voices, perspectives, and experiences in all policies and even in our private lives and in our cultures.